Good afternoon, everyone. It is September 26th, 2024, and we started today in the S&P 500 with a significant gap. Opened up at, what was it, 574 from the prior day close of 569, opened up 5 points. And yeah, generally, we ended up closing at around, what was it, about 0.40 basis points increase. We had a substantial sell-off this morning. It looked like it found some buyers here at the 5-day moving average, potentially also corresponded with that week-to-date volume-weighted average price. And we bounced back up and we closed the day on the volume-weighted average price for the day. So generally, all in all, we're still above a 5-day moving average. That's continuing to rise, and it will do as we get rid of this data over the next few days, and it will continue to rise unless we get a significant sell-off down to this level here, down at 567-ish, which would be probably the most important level of interest if the SPY does sell. Looking at the NASDAQ, we're still following this trend line. Similar day, we had a slightly bigger gap. It closed at about 0.70 basis points higher than what it started. Obviously gapped up for 493, closed 485 the day before. So, and then we saw a pretty heavy sell-off down in the week-to-date volume weighted average price. Broke the trend line a little bit, barring that I did didn't exactly draw that the best, but we end up closing above the volume weighted average price of the day, still above a 5-day moving average. 50-day moving average is now oh sorry, these aren't synced here. All right, let's go back to the Qs. Looking at the daily time frame of the Qs, 50-day moving average is just starting to flatten out and start to rise here over the next few days. Now we've had this nice rally. A 20-day moving average is obviously continuing to rise. 200-day moving average is continuing to rise, and the volume weighted average price for the year we're well above that, and well above the one for the month. So generally, we're still above a 5-day moving average. There's nothing to really be concerned about here. We are quite overstretched. We run from 448, 493. Be good to see a bit of a pullback, maybe down to this volume weighted average price from the month, and rebuild and get bigger. But market doesn't give a shit what I want. The SMH had a huge gap up this morning. Obviously, that was due to the Micron big gap up from earnings yesterday. I think semiconductors pretty much drove the rest of the market up. 50-day moving average is going to start flattening and starting to rise here the next few days once we get rid of this data, as long as we kind of stay in this area. 20-day moving average is starting to rise. We're above 200 on the short-term time frame on the right, 30 minutes. We're above a rising 5-day moving average. We're above the week-to-date anchor. Again, same thing, gapped up significantly. Saw some profit taking, which was obviously expected. We've just run now from 213 to 255. So we've ran, $40, give or take, my crappy math. But I would like to see a pullback here, or just more so the fact that we have made a higher high on this daily time frame now. If we pull back to say the 50-day moving average and then rebuild and go back up, maybe it just gives us a little bit more of a time consolidation kind of formation here. But at the end of the day, we're still above a 5-day moving average. Just if you do decide to get involved, obviously get involved in a low risk way, which is a little bit difficult knowing how extended we are, but it is what it is. Make the trade your own. XBI 50 and 20 is starting to decline here on the daily time frame. Had a bit of a rally here up to the week-to-date volume average price of the day. Continues to break down. Closed on the volume weighted average price for the day. Still kind of trapped below it. 5-day moving average is obviously still declining. And it will do for the next little while until we kind of get rid of this data. So I would say by Monday next week, maybe it starts to build and to potentially flatten that 5-day moving average and start to build a potentially a new roll to a new move here in order to get up through this level of support, which is kind of denied us a few times, or resistance, I should say. And then Russell 2000 continues to break down, stuck below that 5-day moving average. That was my prediction. It was going to get caught under it, sold off. Tried to rally here this morning, bounced off that 5-day moving average and just started to fall back down. 50-day moving average is now declining, but we're still above it. And we will for the next few days, quite a week or so actually, maybe 2 weeks. 20-day is starting to rise here. And it will until we get rid of these next few days. But obviously, I'm just not really interested in this stock at all. It just seems to be bouncing all over the place. It's just not one that really excites me. Energy names continue to sell off. kind of expected, below 50, 200-day and 20-day moving average. 5-day moving average is now above it, pushing down. This thing's just going to fail into the ground. Now has a chance to kind of rebuild back up once it kind of bottomed out and has decided what it's going to do. Nothing really that interesting happening in the financials. Obviously, it gapped up a bit, ran today, but it got stuck below this volume weighted average price for the week. 5-day moving average has continued to decline. This the double top scenario still hasn't played itself out. I'm not calling it, but that is the math in order to figure it out. We've got to break this trend line and break it down to this low. Hopefully get a bit of a rally, and there's kind of your measured move down to that kind of 441 mark. So all in all, that's pretty much really it. We'll have a quick look at NVDA, and I will look at Bitcoin here before the video is over. So NVIDIA pulled back significantly today. It pulled back from the volume weighted price for the Tuesday morning. Bounced perfectly, and obviously is kind of trying to consolidate in this area where 50-day moving average is now starting to rise, and so is the 20. So generally, NVIDIA is looking kind of bullish. I like to see it pull back a little bit, maybe back to the week to date volume weighted average price build, and then make a significantly bigger move. That would be the ideal situation for me to get in a low risk way. And then we'll finish the day with a bit of Bitcoin. And I'll just put it on the bigger screen here so we can have a better look at it. So on the daily time frame, today we did break out of the 65.5 mark. All right, and we're still hovering below it as of right now. I would love to see it pull back to around 59K, which originally my anticipation was 59K was the 50-day moving average on the kind of the daily. I'd love to do that because it would trap all the people who bought the breakout, piss them off and get them to sell. Pull down to the 20-day moving average here, or the 50, as well as potentially the volume weighted average price from this high, and this low, which will consolidate in this area, which ultimately will bring, a higher chance of finding a bounce and some buyers there waiting. I don't think we're going to see it pull back to 51, this anchor, anytime soon, where it has previously found support. I say this is probably the biggest level of interest if it does start to sell off here in the next little bit. But we still see we have a higher high here now. If it creates a higher low off of this, then obviously that sets up for a bit of a more of a low risk entry. If it does something like this, it starts to pull back here, hits this anchor, bounces, maybe gives a little bit of this, and then allows us to get involved somewhere like over here with a at least then we can put a stop under there, and then that allows us to buy in a low risk way rather than having our stop away down here or maybe here. It's a lot easier to do it that way and a lot lower risk. But that's kind of what I'm thinking for Bitcoin anyway. So let me know what you guys think. But generally, that's it for Thursday, folks. Have yourself a great rest of your day.